Welcome, everybody, to the Redzone Report. This is your boy, Izzy, and I'm here on this wonderful day of the week that I'm going to not disclose. It's Thursday. Doing a show that is not live. And this show is also brought to you by Picasso's Pizza, okay? Picasso's Pizza. I don't live in Buffalo, but when I go to Picasso's, okay? Guys, I'm doing a way too early roster prediction, 53-man roster. I've seen a couple of people do them. I was going to do them on Sunday. Then I was like, oh, snap, Mother's Day, can't do it then. And I was going to be doing my show this weekend. But this weekend I have family fun day at work. So we'll be at Carowinds Amusement Park here in North Carolina. It's on the border of North and South Carolina. The border literally runs through the middle of the park. It's an awesome time. But, the company I work for, they will be providing us tickets to go to Carowinds, and it's going to be like a whole thing. There's going to be food provided and all that good stuff. And so I'm not going to be available that day. It's a family affair. So we do it every year, and I totally missed that Mother's Day and Family Fun Day where, they butted up against each other. And I'm not going to leave you guys with 2 weeks of no content, especially when I'm capable of doing so. So the show might not be long because there's not going to be any fan interaction, but I'm going to get my points across, okay? So, guys, bear with me. Please enjoy the show and understand your boy Izzy is here. Right? He ain't going nowhere. He's not hiding from y'all. He's got plenty to talk about. And here we go. Looking at the roster, 53 players get to stay, right? And this team is going to have some difficult decisions to make. Right? I have the actual roster on screen, and then, as you guys know I tend to do, I wrote notes, right? I had guys I put on there, and I took off there, and man, the conclusions I came to were tough. But I based them on the new coordinators, the new players that we drafted and signed, the style of offense we're going to be running, the style of defense that may or may not change. Most likely won't change that much. The offense probably will change a lot more than the defense does. Just based on the offensive coordinator style in his past, and also based on the personnel that we brought in. And we will discuss that as we go on through the show. Or I will discuss that because you guys are not here with me, but you'll be watching, and I know it. So, QB is too easy, right? Josh Allen, the franchise quarterback, the second or third best QB in the NFL. I mean, however you feel about him, cool. I have him as the second best quarterback in the NFL behind just Patrick Mahomes. He has the most touchdowns the last 4 years. He's got, all of the accolades except for a Super Bowl, except for an MVP. Like, let's be real. There was a couple years where he probably should have won the MVP. And there was a couple years he probably should have won a Super Bowl. And that's why he's held in such high regard. Josh Allen, he is our quarterback. We love him. Most Bills fans do. I have a hard time finding any Bills fans who don't love Josh Allen. So Josh Allen, that's our guy. Number 2 quarterback, Mitchell Trubisky, as of right now. Way too early roster predictions, right? They still got to go through training camp, and he's going to have to earn that job, but he got paid. So he's probably going to be number 2, and they'll have one of the rookies or Sham Buechele sitting on the practice squad, waiting if something happens to Josh or to Mitch. And that's the quarterback position. Very simple, very easy. You see on the roster right now at quarterback, we have 3. Sham Buechele, Josh Allen, and Mitch Trubisky. So I don't see any changes happening to that room. Sham Buechele will be on the practice squad most likely, and that's it. Also, if you guys didn't know, Trubisky's wearing number 11 this year. You guys all probably did know, but If you didn't, now you know. Okay, 17, Josh Allen. Number 6, Sam Michel. Number 11, Mitch Trubisky. Michel will be on the practice squad. Next room is running back, and the first two to me are pretty obvious, right? We've got James Cook, who's the obvious number 1 running back in this offense right now. He earned it last year, putting up over 1,000 yards rushing, putting up a nice little number at the end of the year as well when it comes to his receiving yards. And I'm going to pull that number up now. Let's see, James. 237 carries, 1,122 yards, 4.73 per carry, 2 touchdowns. Let's see. Doesn't have his passing numbers on here, but that's fine. Let's see. That's fine. It's the Bills website, so they're worried about his running game. Running the ball, he was fine. He did drop some passes, so, they brought in some other guys, of course. The Bills, generally speaking, tend to not sign their running backs beyond that first contract. If you look at when they got here, we had Shady, right? They got rid of him before his last year. Devin Singletary, drafted him. We ran him for 4 years, and then, thank you, sir. Service no longer required. Zach Moss got traded before his contract was up. James Cook is going into year 3. He could be the exception where they do re-sign him, but if he puts up big money numbers, he could be out the door, which, that's 2 years from now. So I'm hoping that the Bills find a way to keep him if he does improve that catching ability. But we'll see how that goes. The running back market's kind of doing this weird thing right now where the big guys were expecting to get paid way, way, way big money, and now they're kind of getting paid just below that, and they're accepting it, so that's fine. Ray Davis, running back we drafted this year out of the University of Kentucky. He's wearing number 22. Welcome back, Fred Jackson style back, a big, stocky back. He's only 5'8", so he's not tall like Freddie. Freddie was 6 foot, 6'1", something like that, and he was like 220, 215, 220. Ray Davis is, 210 pounds. He's a bowling ball of a man, and he's going to be our second back, barring injury, right? So unless he gets hurt, Ray Davis is going to be our guy. Now, the third spot at running back is where we're in question here, right? And so you have Frank Gore Jr. and Ty Johnson. One of them, number 20, Frank Gore Jr., the son of the legend Frank Gore, and third, I believe, on the rushing list. His son, picked up by the Bills from Southern Mississippi. This kid, I believe, has a chance, but he's going to have to beat out Ty Johnson from Maryland. He's 5'10", 210. Frank Gore is 5'8", 195. So Frank Gore is more along the Devin Singletary size. He's about 8 pounds smaller than Devin Singletary and about an inch taller. So, splitting hairs there. His athletic score was not great, but he does have moves, and he seems more of a mental player. And he's got good hands. He's got good skills, good moves, but his athleticism is what's going to hold him back, if anything else. Ty Johnson, though, very athletic, good pass blocker, good at catching the ball, pretty good up the middle. So I think he is going to be RB3. I think it's going to be Ty Johnson. And I think Frank Gore makes the roster, though. I think Frank Gore makes the roster, and I think the reason why is kind of a shocker, guys. I don't think the Bills are going to keep a fullback. So this could be the last time we see Gilliam on this roster. And I know that's going to hurt a lot of people's hearts. It's going to hurt mine. I love Gilliam. Man's got heart. He plays with conviction. But with the new playoff rule, his special teams role, we don't know what that's going to be. And the Joe Brady offense doesn't really use a fullback. It's never really used a fullback. They just put a tight end back there. And if they need somebody to block for them then, that'll be that. And most likely that's going to be Dawson Knox. Dawson Knox will be an inline tight end and the fullback role probably from here on out, if my prediction is correct. I'm not saying I hope that's the case, but the case is likely that Gilliam's days in Buffalo are potentially numbered unless something happens to Quentin Morris and then they have him listed as tight end / fullback, and there you go. Or if something happens to Knox or Kincaid, God forbid. If anything happens to Knox or Kincaid again, or Knox again or Kincaid, then Gilliam has a spot. But I think that if everything goes well and these guys all stay healthy, theoretically, Gilliam loses his job. I'm not happy about it, but you never know. They could keep him and keep one less guy in the defense. I kept more defenders than I kept offensive players. I kept 26 players on the offense, which means that on the defensive side, I kept 27. So one of these guys on defense may not be a guy that stays. And you guys may be surprised by who I kept, and I have some explanation for that. So going on there, we lose Gilliam. We keep Cook, number 4, Davis, 22, Johnson, 26, and Frank Gore, number 20. Moving on to wide receiver, we keep 6 of them in my prediction here. Keon Coleman, Khalil Shakir, and Curtis Samuel are locks. They're just locks. Your first overall pick this year in the draft, and Keon Coleman. Khalil Shakir, who, when Joe Brady took over the offense, started to ascend in this offense. With half the catches, put up more yards than Stephon Diggs in the last games of the season. Curtis Samuel, who they just paid $30 million to. It's really a $24 million deal. It's worth up to 30. I think 15 of it's guaranteed. So this year is guaranteed, and then there's an out next year. So they can save half next year's money, and then he's not guaranteed his third year. So Samuel will be here. Next on the list, I have Marquez, Valdez Scantling. I think Marquez sounds better, but it's his name. But Marquez Valdez Scantling. I also don't like the fact that they pronounce Marquez as Marquez, but that's neither here nor there. I'm not his mama, so we'll deal with that as it comes. Marquez Valdez Scantling, that speed, 6'4", just blazer. Has questionable hands, but has better hands than Gabe Davis. So if you're going to replace a 6'2", 225-pound Gabe Davis with a 6'4", 206, 207-pound Marquez Valdez Scantling, who is faster and can get down the field and stretch the defenses out, I think that's a good deal, especially with that price tag versus Gabe Davis's. I'm all for it. I like MVS. I don't love MVS, right? And so if he comes to this offense and he turns it up, you never know, But he does have a penchant for selecting or being selected to teams that have good quarterbacks, right? The Packers drafted him, so he was selected there. And then he chose to go play with Mahomes, and now has chosen to come play with Josh Allen. So Mahomes, Allen, and Aaron Rodgers were the quarterbacks that he's played with. Lucky son of a you-know-what. Now, next I got Mac Hollins. Big, strong boy right here. The big, strong man. He's 30 years old. He's a little older at wide receiver, but I think that as a wide receiver, he is going to do what Gabe Davis did in the blocking department. He's going to take that Trent Sherfield role, that on the field every now and then, he'll catch some. But for the most part, he's going to be a blocker. He's going to be a guy who goes out there to help finish run plays. But he will not be limited to just that role. And I have him as our wide receiver 5. Mac Hollins at wide receiver 5 to me is a steal on any team in the NFL. This is why people keep telling me that the Bills have no depth at wide receiver. It's like, that's BS. We just don't have a number 1 guy. But we have depth. We have a route runner. We have Khalil Shakir. We have a big body red zone guy, kind of a do-it-all guy in Keon Coleman. Needs to work on his craft, but he could be a do-it-all guy later on. 6'3" or 6'4", 215 pounds, 220 pounds. It's a big boy, right? That's your number 1 and number 2. Him and Shakir are going to be the guys fighting for that. I believe that number 1 spot. Doesn't matter to me because if they're both on the field at the same time, who cares? Curtis Samuel, I think he'll be more of the slot guy, gadget guy. He's going to be more of that Deontay Hardy, Isaiah McKenzie type role guy, end around screens. He'll run some routes, crossers most likely. He'll have some deep ones, but he's not known for his deep receiving, even though he ran a 4.33. That track speed doesn't translate to the NFL like that. So he's going to be a guy who ends up basically as a, how do I say this, gadget guy. He'll also run the ball a little bit, probably out the backfield. There'll be some plays like that. I have Samuel taking that role. MVS is going to be that guy when you need space. He's going to be the guy who helps create space underneath because he's going to take the top off the defense. The safety's going to have to account for him because he can catch. And because he can catch, he must be accounted for. Now, is he a great catcher? Is he going to be a contested catch guy? No. But I do see him, producing some on this team. My wide receiver 6, believe it or not, guys, is Chase Claypool. Now, why is it Chase Claypool? First of all, it's wide receiver 6. So wide receiver 6 is a spot where you can take a chance at, right? I think that Chase Claypool has a lot to prove. I think he's got a lot of potential. And I think with the right coaching, the right situation, and the right quarterback, Chase Claypool can really make some noise. I think Chase Claypool has a chance. 6'4", 238, big body guy, pretty good at contested catches. His first couple of years put up over 800 yards. The kid can play. Last 2 years were just not for him. Going to the Bears, not a good situation. Then going to the Dolphins, Tua's got his guys. He's got, Cedric Wilson. He's got Tyreek Hill. He's got your boy, number 17, Jalen Waddle. He's got his guys, right? So Chase Claypool was basically going in there for cleanup work, and, I don't think he was happy in any of those places. Coming onto the Bills to start the year with a quarterback like Josh Allen and the ability to earn his way back into the NFL and not end up being relegated to the CFL or the UFL, I think that Chase Claypool has a legit shot at making this roster, and I think that he will be our wide receiver 6. Now, this really depends on if they want to keep another speed guy, right? Because if you keep MVS, you don't have that small speed guy, but you have MVS and Curtis Samuel who can return kicks for you. And on the punt return side, you have Hardy at corner if he makes the roster, which, spoiler alert, I have him making the roster. My cornerbacks may be a position that surprises you. But that's why I have a wide receiver. Keon Coleman, Khalil Shakir, Curtis Samuel, Markel Valdez-Scantling, Mac Hollins, and Chase Claypool. Tight ends. We keep it 3. I got Kincaid, Knox, and Morris. Surprise. I think that Kincaid is going to take a step this year. I think Knox being healthy and not having that wrist injury, hopefully, God forbid, he doesn't get injured again. I think that the Bills' tight end room is basically set. There's not going to be much movement there. They did bring in a couple of other guys. Zach Davidson's there again. Trey McKitty. Those guys are camp bodies or practice squad guys unless they light it up, which they might. So I don't want to just relegate them to that. But as of right now, that's what they appear to be. It's way too early roster prediction, so that's what it is. Moving on. We have 15 players on the roster so far. 8 offensive linemen. Deion Dawkins, obvious. David Edwards, Connor McGovern, Cyrus Torrance, Spencer Brown. That's your starting offensive lineup as of right now. Also making the roster, I have Cedric Van Pran, Ryan Vandermark, and Alec Anderson. So you have a swing guard, a swing tackle, and a backup center. If Van Pran earns a starting role at center, then you could see Cedric Van Pran being at center and then moving Connor McGovern back to left guard, and that would give Deion Dawkins his first year with back-to-back years where his left guard was the same guy. He's never had that. This would be his first year doing that. And so I think Deion Dawkins mentioned that for a reason. I don't think that there's no reason for Deion Dawkins to say that. I think that he's obviously trying to convey a message when he says, I haven't. So that being said, that's a very good possibility. But I still have both those guys making the team. I have 8 offensive linemen. Now, if they keep McGovern at center, David Edwards at guard, I'm fine with that. Perfectly fine. Osiris Torrance at right guard, totally cool with it because, of course, he had a good year. Spencer Brown, this is his contract year. He's going to want to light it up. And you know what? I'm okay with that too. If he goes out there and he lights it up, I got no complaints. Thank you for your service. If he is, moved on from, or if he's re-signed, I can see them re-signing him and you have bookend tackles, then you can kind of rotate guards as you need to. Tackle is the more expensive position anyway, so why wouldn't you? And then the swing guys, right? Van Pran, Granger, Vandermark, and Anderson. Those guys are your backups. Primary backup for guard, Alec Anderson. Primary backup for center, Van Pran, Granger. Primary backup for tackles is going to be Ryan Vandermark. Boom, 8. That takes our total up to 23. Now, instead of going straight to the defense from here, I just decided to put the special teamers right here. Kicker is Bass. Punter is it's going to be between Martin and Browning. I don't think Hawk has a chance. He can't punt, and that's the name of the position. Is punter. He's a punter, and he can't kick, can't punt well. So if it's me, and Martin's still having problems like he was last year, I move on from Martin. I cut Hawk, and I roll with the rookie Browning from San Diego State University, and then long snapper Reed Ferguson, of course. 26 players. That's the offensive side of the ball. Technically, long snappers definitely is long snapper for punts and field goals. Kickers kicking for points, and the punter is punting the ball away. So special teams, yes, but it's part of the offensive side of the ball naturally, I believe. So your punter's not out there on punt returns or kick returns. Your kicker's not out there on punt returns or kick returns that you're receiving. It's only on sending. So if you're sending the ball, you're on offense. That's just the way I'm gonna say that. Okay. Now, defensive end kept five. Greg Rousseau just extended his fifth-year option. He's here for 2 more years. Von Miller, he took a pay cut to be here. I think that he looked like he was getting better as the season went on last year. Towards the end, Von Miller, I don't expect him to get back to top tier Von Miller, but if he gets close to that, man. Like if he put up 9 sacks in those 10 weeks or whatever it was. If he can put up, 10 sacks in 17 weeks or 17 games, man, listen, I really like the prospects of that. AJ Epinesa coming off a 6.5 sack season, 2 years in a row. 6.5 sacks, taking 30 to 40% of the snaps. Now his snap increase should be there. He should see more closer to Leonard Floyd numbers when it comes to, hey. Go ahead. Okay. So Epinesa should see more snaps. You should see closer to that 50% mark like Leonard Floyd was. And I believe that he could increase his sack count to up to 9, maybe 10. So give him more opportunities. He should get more sacks. Hopefully he stays healthy. Last year, I know he was a little dinged up towards the end of the year. He might have had 8 or 9 sacks last year. Now, the next one is the 4th defensive end. And that 4th defensive end, I had it between Toohill and Smoot. Toohill and Smoot. Smoot from Jacksonville, Toohill from Washington. They are 2 defensive ends. Smoot is, pull up his information here. Smoot is 6'3", 264. Toohill's 6'5", 254. So Toohill's more lean and tall, and Smoot is more of a power guy, shorter and more stout. Toohill's also 3 years less in the NFL. He's got 3, and he's 2 years younger. So I actually think that this is going to be Toohill's job here. I think Toohill's going to be that 4th veteran defensive end on the roster, and then Javon Solomon will be the last guy. The reason why I chose Toohill over Smoot, even though I know Smoot has had production in the NFL, he's older for one, and he's coming off injuries. He's coming off injuries and his worst year, whereas Toohill's coming off one of his better years. He's taking his time coming from Stanford, and Smoot from Illinois. Toohill is a motor guy. He doesn't give up on the play, and the Bills love that type of guy. Again, 6'5", 27 years old, 254 pounds, 5 years experience from Stanford. He had 5 sacks last year. Now, he was on a team where they got rid of and jettisoned both of their defensive ends in freaking one of them with the Stanford. I forget his name. Anyway, they got rid of both their starting defensive ends, Sweat and his name is eluding me. Don't care. From Ohio State, big guy, played with the Boses. Well, he took over and he played pretty decently. And I think that he's our 4th defensive end. Javon Solomon, or Solomon, our freaking 6th round pick out of where did he go? A&M? Javon Solomon. So now I got to look at Troy. He went to Troy. So Javon Solomon, defensive end out of Troy. He had 16 sacks in college. He is a pure potential guy. He's a smaller defensive end like Von Miller. He's more of a 3-4 linebacker like Von Miller. And so he's more likely to be groomed to be the replacement for Von Miller. That type of guy on the team. Guy who can stand up or put his hand in the dirt and rush the passer. I think that's why he's been drafted. And I think that's really job security for Von Miller as a mentor to this kid from Troy to then learn to take over his role. So that's why I have a defensive end, 5 guys, burgers and fries, Rousseau, Miller, Epinesa, Toohill, and Solomon. Toohill and Solomon. Now, defensive tackle, I have also 5 guys. So 10 total defensive linemen. And I have Ed Oliver. Obviously, he's our guy. We just re-signed him. He made us look super smart for re-signing him to the money we did. If we waited another year to re-sign him, he probably gets paid a lot more than what he got. Now he's in Buffalo for the long haul, 4 more years. This should be the first year of that big contract. And then we have Daquan Jones, who just signed a 2-year deal with the Bills. It's really a 1-year and a second-year, option. We'll see how that goes. I like Daquan. He's going to be 34 at the end of this year, so we'll see what happens. I think that they may keep him the whole 2 years, but you don't know. You have to take that with a grain of salt. Now, Johnson and Williams, Austin Johnson and freaking Deshaun Williams. I think that they both have shots to make this team. I think they will make this team. They're going to be your veteran backups to Ed Oliver and Daquan Jones. You have a 3 technique in Williams, and you have a 1 tech in Austin Johnson. Austin Johnson playing in that San Diego defense didn't look great, but that San Diego defense was garbage, and it was not well coached. So they had a lot of good players on that defense, and that defense was absolute trash. So he went to Penn State with Daquan Jones. They were excited to see each other, or they knew each other from Penn State. Deshaun Williams went to Clemson. He's been in the league for 5 years. Young guy. He's he's not that young. He's 31. So he probably got a late start to his career. But yeah, those guys will be your main guys. And then, of course, the rookie Dwayne Carter III, Wheezy F Baby or Big Baby from Duke. Big man. I think it was 6'2", 300 pounds, or like 295. He's going to be the guy who steps up as Ed Oliver's backup directly. Now, if he's really that good in training camp, we could see Deshaun Williams not make this team. I think he will make this team because the Bills like to have 5 defensive tackles. They like to have a bunch of big guys who can play in the middle. All right, we always have. Like last year, we had Ed Oliver, we had Poona Ford, we had Jordan Phillips, we had Daquan Jones, Ed Oliver, Poona Ford, Jordan Phillips, and I'm forgetting his name now too. He's on the Texans now. I'm horrible with names, guys. I'm sorry about that. But yeah, they always kept 5. They're gonna keep 5 again. It's gonna be Austin Johnson, Daquan Jones, Ed Oliver, Deshaun Williams, and Dwayne Carter. Those are your defensive tackles. Linebackers, we kept 6. We almost always keep 6. It's always the case. Last year, Milano, Terrell Bernard. Then we had Bill Inspector and Dorian Williams. And then we had Matakevich and Tyrell Dodson. Those were our 6 linebackers. We always keep 6. This year, it's going to be Milano, Bernard, Williams. Those are your locks for the team, in my opinion. Then Morrow, Jones, and Ulafosio. So that gives us 3 middle linebacker types in Bernard, Morrow, and Jones. All 3 guys are middle linebacker types, right? You can mix and match however you see fit for the matchup you're going to play. And then Milano, Williams, and Ulafosio are the outside linebacker type. They're going to be the guys who are at will, right? Because we usually don't run a Sam. It's kind of a position that's being phased out of the NFL almost, just because of the fact that people are in nickel so much that you don't really see them. But Ulafosio, I like him coming out of college. He was a leader. And yeah, those are the linebackers. We already know the top 3 guys. My predictions, though, we have some veterans who can run, got good speed, and can play in his own defense. Morrow, Jones, Ulofoshio. Those are the guys right there. 6 linebackers. Now, I don't think there's too much, controversy in my linebacker projection. Outside chance to make it, Joe Andreessen. Like if something happens to one of these guys, they get hurt. Or if they don't see the value in paying Morrow or Jones that much money and Andreessen's cheaper, he may be. I don't know what their salaries are, so don't quote me. He's 6'1", 232. He's out of UB. Probably a practice squad guy. Just wanted to mention his name because he's a local kid, and I love the idea of that. He could also make it if they decide to move on from Balin Spector because Balin Spector's not on my list. Balin Spector's injury concerns. I love me some Balin Spector. I really do. But his injury concerns and the fact that they brought in so many linebackers tells me that this could be the end for him. But if he goes out there, he's healthy and he lights it up, you never know. He could be a guy who takes a roster spot from Deion Jones or Nicholas Moreau. And you got to think that one of those two, or specifically Deion Jones, if he doesn't make this team, he might end up retiring. Right? And so the schools for those guys, Milano, we all know Boston College, Terrell Bernard, Baylor, Dorian Williams, Tulane, Nicholas Moreau, he went to Greenville, and Deion Jones went to LSU, and Ulofoshio Washington. So that's your linebacker core. Let's go. Let's freaking go. Okay, corners. There's going to be some surprises here, and there's going to be some not so surprises. The first 4 guys, no surprise. Rasul Douglas, not a surprise. Christian Benford, not a surprise. Khair Elam, not a surprise. Those are your 3 top outside corners on this roster right now. Taron Johnson's your nickel, and freaking Hardy from Penn State, Daquan Hardy, he's going to be your secondary nickel cornerback. Surprises right here. 6th cornerback kept is going to be Kenny H. Lovely. He looked good at rookie minicamps. I've watched some tape on him. He's an outside corner. He's a smaller guy, but he's got good speed. He's from a small school, so he didn't get drafted. He's got sticky hips. I think that this kid right here can make the team. This is the one I'm reaching on when it comes to I think that this kid has potential. I don't see it a lot, but when I do see it, I point it out. I said it from Matt Milano when he was a rookie. I thought he was going to be really good. I thought Devin Singletary was going to be really good. He's pretty good. Terrell Bernard, I was wrong about. I thought he was going to be trash. I was so wrong with Terrell Bernard. So I don't want to give you all the positives I said and then all the negatives, just stored away in the bank. There was some negatives and some positives about guys we brought in that I, thought were going to be great or trash. Dorian Williams, though, has a sneaky good shot at, earning some more playing time this year because I thought he got better as the year went on last year. I like him. But back to corner, right? Rasul Douglas, Benford Elam, and Kenny H. Lovely as your outside corner room. Johnson and Hardy, Taron Johnson and Daquan Hardy are your slot corners. They're your nickelbacks, right? Rasul Douglas, we all know. He played at West Virginia. Khair Elam at Florida. Taron Johnson, Weber State. This Christian Benford, Villanova, which is crazy because it's a basketball school. But, hey, we also picked up Kyron Brown, who, is 27 years old, been in the league for 3 years out of Akron. So there's some guys on this roster here who could make some noise. I know people love Jamarcus Ingram. He's from the University of Buffalo, 6'2", 190. It could be him over Lovely. I think the battle is really for that 6th cornerback spot is going to be between Jamarcus Ingram and Kenny H. Lovely. Those 2 guys are going to be battling it out for that spot. I got Lovely winning it and Jamarcus Ingram going back to the practice squad unless somebody wants to pick him up. Or they could roster Ingram and then put Lovely on the practice squad. I think Lovely's going to be at minimum a practice squad guy. I think he makes his practice squad easily, in my opinion. Just from the tape I've watched, got me a little pumped. So that's where I'll keep that. Guns in the holster. Let's go. Last position to talk about is safety. I kept 5 safeties. Kind of. Okay. Taylor Rapp, Mike Edwards, Cole Bishop are 3 of the 5 guys I kept. Now, the Bills just today made a move at safety. They picked up D. Delaney from the University of Miami. He was with the Buccaneers. He's been in the NFL for a little while. He had, 4 interceptions last year? I can pull it up. Why am I asking questions when I can just click a link? 2 interceptions last year, 16 solo tackles. He's a backup safety. That's what he would be here. He'd be a backup safety. He'd be safety number 4 behind Bishop, Edwards, and Rapp. And then the 5th safety, of course, the ever familiar Cam Lewis, who then can double as a extra corner, right? So we have an extra corner / safety in Cam Lewis. Okay, so Cam Lewis, if something happens to Hardy and Johnson, or if Hardy is strictly kick return or punt return, and you want Lewis to be the backup there, then fine, so be it. But I think that Hardy's going to be the backup at nickel, and that Lewis will be basically the guy who goes in whenever he's needed, wherever he's needed, however he's needed. He is my 53rd guy in this list, not necessarily on the roster. There are other guys I think that could make the team over him or get cut for him. Right now, guys on my bubble are Cam Lewis, Kenny H. Lovely, linebacker Jones. I'm not sure why I'm not remembering his first name. Deion Jones. Nicholas Moreau might be on the bubble, but I think he's going to make the team. Sean Williams kind of on the bubble. Gore Jr. is on the bubble. If they decide to keep fullback, if they decide to move that way and keep Gilliam, Gore Jr. is on my bubble here. Claypool's on my bubble. So that's where I'm at with all that. Also, I don't know if you guys noticed. You guys did if you watch my show consistently. Mike Edwards, there's 2 Mike Edwards on this team. The other was the offensive lineman, Campbell University. Go Camels. It's a local team here in North Carolina where I live at. I don't have a lot to say about him. I've not watched any tape on him, but I just wanted to shout him out. All right. Yeah, that's my way too early roster prediction, guys. I just wanted to make sure I gave you guys some content, these 2 weeks, because, again, not available last Sunday, Mother's Day. My wife and I went out with my brother to go have some food. Had crab boils at a place called Hook and Reel right here in Fayetteville. And then she went out with my girls. My daughters took her out that evening. So she had a wonderful affair, that day with me and my brother hanging out, eating some, lobster and shrimp and scallops and all that good stuff. And my daughters took her out to eat that evening. They took her to Outback Steakhouse where she had steak. Like, she just got wined and dined all day by family. It's a beautiful thing for her. And then this weekend, family fun day. So, yeah, it's a thing. Now, one last thing to talk about. Now that we're done with that. Bam. All right. Now that we're done with that, we can look at the schedule, baby. Let's go. So the schedule dropped on Wednesday. We got little tidbits here and there, little teasers. Bills play the Dolphins Thursday night, week 2. So that's cool. That's cool. And then there's a lot of predictions out there where the Bills don't win a lot of games because the opponent is this team on this day. And I'll just say that's only accounting for the Buffalo Bills and what they are going through. That's not accounting for the other team and what they are going through. So week 1, the Arizona Cardinals. I think the Bills win that game. I don't think it's really that close. The next week is the Dolphins. Not worried about the Dolphins. I think we go 2-0 there. The Dolphins are they're our little son over here. Every year we sun the Dolphins, and this year we're playing them not in the sun. We're playing them in Miami early on at night, and so I think that's going to be fine for the Bills. They won't be broiling. Dolphins won't have their little heat stroke advantage that they had before. That's cool. Even if they did that, whatever. Bills have beaten them in Miami in the heat before. I don't really see that being a consistent issue. Might have been a way the Bills overlooked them that year, but it's fine because we still won the division, and we did that same thing last year. We won the division. We swept them this past year, so it is what it is. The Jaguars always give us trouble. Every Bills content creator will tell you that. I don't think that the Bills have too much trouble with them here. I don't think they have too much trouble with them right here. I think it's early on in the season. The Bills will not be injured. I think that the Bills in Buffalo hosting the Jacksonville Jaguars will be a different story. I think the Bills take them out. The last couple times that we lost to the Jaguars were away games. Last year was technically a home game for the Bills in London at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, but we all know that was an away game. The Bills left it on Thursday, which is kind of their fault. McDermott's fault, Dean's fault, whoever makes those decisions, their fault. But that's an away game, dude. The Jaguars play there consistently. They were there for a week before us for their first game there. Then they had a second game there, and that's not the case this year. Not for us. The Jaguars do play 2 games back-to-back in London this year as well. But we don't have to have that as our problem. So the Jaguars come to Buffalo. I think we'll beat us 3-0. The Ravens at Baltimore, that's a toughie. That's a toughie. I think the Bills win this game because Lamar Jackson is not the type of quarterback who beats the Bills. The Bills usually do really well against quarterbacks who run, who move around, who break the pocket. Last time we played them, they scored 3 points, when we beat them in the playoffs. So I'm not concerned with Lamar Jackson and the Ravens. I just don't worry about his passing. He doesn't get to his reads fast enough. People are going to say I'm a hater, whatever. I don't care. Call me a hater. Lamar Jackson's MVP last year to me was a sham. His total scores weren't there. His efficiency was through the roof. I give him that. He's an efficient quarterback. Give him that. He's a good leader. Give him that. But he gets through his reads way too slow, and he doesn't account for enough scoring. To me, Lamar Jackson is he's a pretty good quarterback. He's pretty good. He's not great. To me, he's not even a franchise quarterback. He's getting paid like one, but I think that the term franchise quarterback is beginning to lose its meaning. You know what I'm saying? Because like Deshaun Watson's going to be like a franchise quarterback. He's not playing like one. Right? Joe Burrow is getting paid like a franchise quarterback. He's been hurt 2 of the 4 years he's been in the league. Like Lamar Jackson, same thing. He's been hurt, 3 of the 6 years he's been in the league. So I don't see it. People, call me what you want for it. I don't see it. I think he's fine, but against the Bills defense, we just know how to shut that down. So I'll take that for what it's worth. It is what it is. Call me a hater, whatever. I think that we beat the Ravens. We go 4-0. Texans at Houston, we lose that game. It's got nothing to do with the Diggs drama. It's got nothing to do with any of that stuff. We're going to Houston, and this is a gauntlet. We're not going to win all these games, right? The Cardinals, whatever. But the Dolphins are a damn good team. The Jaguars are a pretty good team. The Ravens are a damn good team. Their defense is they're gonna put some bruises on our offensive players. And we're gonna get to Houston, and the Bills' offense, I believe, will be a little slower. They'll be dealing with not injuries, but bumps and bruises. When you play a defense as physical as Baltimore with Roquan Smith and Marlon Humphrey and freaking Marcus Williams, and that defensive line is just stacked with Odafe Owe and the boys, like that you're asking for a lot to go back-to-back Ravens and then at Texans. That's a lot to ask. I think the Bills will beat the Ravens, lose to the Texans with 4-1. Bills then go to the Jets. Now, the Bills split with the Jets the last 2 years. I don't know if we split with them or if we sweep them this year. I'm going to go with the Bills lose to the Jets here. Actually, let me see. Let me look at the Jets schedule, because I don't want to talk out the side of my mouth. Because if they're cruising for a bruising here, let's see games. Oh, guys can take it to their website. It's gonna be in our browser history. Ugh. Okay, so week 5 against the Bills. The week before that, they played the Vikings. The week before that, we played the Texans. So yeah, that's I'll take that one on the chin. They're also playing. Oh, they're coming back from across the pond. Okay, that's different. That's a bit different. They're going to have a lot of travel there. Okay. So Bills see the Texans. Jets see the Vikings, but they see them in Europe. So that changes a little bit for me. I'm going to go with the Bills squeak out a win against the Jets. Squeak out a win against the Jets. Titans. Bills going to beat the Titans. 6-1. Seahawks at Seattle. The Bills are going to lose that game. Not because the Seahawks are that good of a team, but cross-country trip. It's a 4:05 game. The Bills play at 1 o'clock the week before, so it's just this normal 7-day schedule. Not really an advantage, but the advantage goes to the Seahawks being able to play at home. And then if I look at their schedule, see Seahawks schedule. I don't want to look at anything in the vacuum. I think that West Coast trip is just brutal, especially after a tough division game. Oh no, we played Titans before that game. Never mind. Talking out the side of my mouth again. Okay, so the Seahawks, before they play the Bills, play the Falcons. Ooh, that's tough. That's tough. Okay. So we play the Falcons and then the Bills. Bills play the Titans and then the Seahawks. The Titans should be improved. They drafted pretty well. Got some help for their young quarterback. We also got Calvin Ridley. So yeah, that's a tough one. The Bills beat the Titans. They sent home. They lose to Seahawks on the road. This is how I feel about that one. The Bills at the Dolphins. That's a Buffalo Bills win. We are 7-2. Bills at the Colts. The Colts always play the Bills pretty tough. But with the revamped defense, I don't think that it's that crazy. I think the Bills' defensive players that they picked up are intelligent players that will grasp the scheme fairly well if someone gets hurt. Also, the rotation at the defensive tackle and defensive end positions, I believe, will be more suited to stopping the run. So they're going to force Anthony Richardson to pass, and I don't believe in his passing just yet. So I'm going to say we win, and we are 8-2. Kansas City Chiefs. They play us in Buffalo. We're going 9-2 here. The Bills beat the Chiefs. The Chiefs are a good team. They kick our butts in the playoffs all the time, but they don't kick our butts anymore in the playoffs. They just kind of edge us out in the playoffs, but they still beat us. So winning is winning. But in the regular season, we got their number. They beat us once in the regular season. We've beaten them the last 3 years in a row, 4 years in a row, something like that. Bye week and then San Francisco 49ers. I think we win that game too. That offense is awfully similar to the Dolphins offense. It's basically the Dolphins are basically San Francisco 49ers light. Their defense is pretty good over there, but they're not that stout. They're pretty good defense. Fred Warner's a monster. Ufanga's an awesome player. Javarius Ward's pretty solid at corner. But with the weapons the Bills have and the running game, I think the Bills should be able to do pretty well against the Niners. Plus, they're coming across the country to Buffalo. So I got the Bills at 13. So 12 games. We've lost 2, 10-2. Okay, we've lost 2. Lost to the Seahawks. Lost to the Texans. Okay. Not the Rams. The Rams, I believe, are going to be much improved. They're going to have a healthy Cooper Kupp. They're going to have Puka Nacua, freaking quarterback Matthew Stafford. Hopefully, for his own sake, has a solid season. That defense, they did lose Aaron Donald, but they did draft. They did draft some guys. And so that defense should be back. I loved what they did in the draft. The Rams really haven't had first-round draft picks. But this year they did, They did. And while that's, surprising that they didn't have first-round picks in so long, I'm glad to see that they finally got past that payment they dropped for the freaking Super Bowl. So Jared Verse they got in the first round, defensive end. You lost Aaron Donald, you lost Von Miller, and you lost Leonard Floyd the last few years. You then go get a big guy like Jared Verse from Florida State. And then they double-dipped at Florida State defensive line. They went and got Braden Fisk, 2 guys who know how to play side by side. Braden Fisk, defensive tackle. They're revamping that defensive line. You lost Aaron Donald again, so you have to. Blake Corum, running back. Cam Kitchens from Miami. A lot of Bills fans wanted him. Brennan Jackson, another edge rusher. Another defensive tackle in Tyler Davis from Clemson. I liked what they did in the draft. So I think that the Rams, when the Bills go cross-country, will beat our Bills, unfortunately. Then the Detroit Lions. The Detroit Lions at Detroit, I think we lose that game. That puts us at 12 or 10-4. The Lions are basically a team that's almost exactly like us. Their quarterback's not quite on our quarterback's level, but our weapons are not quite on their weapons level. Jahmyr Gibbs is an animal, and freaking running back was it David Montgomery, and then you have Amon-Ra St. Brown and Jameson Williams coming back again. Another year removed from the injury. That offensive line is stout. That defense is nasty. They're basically our mirror image, minus they get a couple points here and we get a couple points there. I think that they're going to edge us out in that game. I got the Lions. Bills first time this year, back-to-back losses. Los Angeles Rams, Detroit Lions. The New England Patriots, I have us busting their head. It's not going to be close. I think the Bills win by at least 14 points against the Patriots in Buffalo. That puts us at 11-4. Then we play the Jets. I think we beat the Jets. Yeah, we beat the Jets in Buffalo. We beat the Jets in Buffalo. After a cakewalk like New England, then we have the Jets. Not necessarily a cakewalk, but a team whose defense is stout, coming off of one stout defense and being ready for that, going into the Jets and playing that stout defense, and then not knowing what their offense is really going to do. They still got Nathaniel Hackett as their OC. So I would temper expectations, Jets fans. I know that Aaron Rodgers is the quarterback, so he's kind of technically the OC, but he's 40 years old, man. I don't know if he's going to last this long. Got the Bills winning this game here against the Jets. That puts the Bills at 12-4. And then I got the Patriots. We sweep the Patriots. Basically, we swept the division. The only teams we lost to were NFC teams. Not NFC only. Lions, Rams, Seahawks, and Texans. Now we go 13-4 under my prediction here. Just way too early prediction, not knowing what's going on with anything. Bills going 13-4 with only one AFC loss, 0 division losses. I think that's enough to win the 1 seed, but we shall see. This is all way too early, right? We're all just having fun. But guys, that is my show. This is a pre-recorded show again, so don't hate me for it, but family comes first. Had to do it, and it is what it is. God bless you all. Love every single last one of you guys. Go Bills. Go Knicks. Hell yeah. Let's go.